What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Marketing Siege Radio. And today I wanted to ask you, do you know this one thing? So just real quick, I could stop right here, cut the podcast off. I've already given you the golden nugget for today. But I just wanted to share this with you first because it's super important and I cannot oversell this enough, I don't think. Do you know how to get yourself to take action in life regardless of what's going on, whether it be concerning your health, wealth, or relationships? There's a little known rule when playing this game of life. And first, let me start by telling you what it's not. It's not to-dos. I hate to-do lists. They freak me out. Every time something gets added on there, I feel like I might die. That's not an exaggeration. To-dos will overwhelm you. There are hundreds, possibly thousands of to-dos, just speaking from a conscious brain standpoint, let alone what your subconscious is doing and the operating system that it's running behind the scenes. I think, most of the problems today as being a human being and playing this game of life is we're overstimulated. There's too much input. There's too much to go through, and that no wonder people suffer from mental health issues, chronic fatigue syndrome, all these other things, lifestyle-related illness. Like there's too much input. And, honestly, whenever I was getting my notes together today for this podcast, and I started typing out my Seinfeld email and Facebook post that goes along with it, and whenever I started thinking about all the to-dos that I had to do today, like I literally started sweating. Like a physical response came out, and I was literally just typing. And the bad part is this. I used to think that leveling up consistently in the game of life meant adding more and more stuff. Basically, I became addicted to asking and answering the question, how much can I stack on my plate today? Wrong way to go about this. That's the fast road to burnout, and that'll put you in boredom after that because you're too afraid to take any action anymore because, damn it, that hurt. So regardless of what game you're playing, you need to learn this one concept, this one thing, if you will, and that's exactly it. You only need to focus on one outcome. What outcome could that possibly be? Well, what do you desire the most? So many people talk about what they don't want. And inherently, when you talk about what you don't want, that doesn't mean anything. It's like, I don't want to be a loser. Okay. That leaves a possibility open for hundreds and thousands of other things that you can be. What do you want? What is the outcome that you desire most in health, wealth, or relationships? And, my philosophy on that is this. We're all trying to meet our needs in an empowering way. I'm about to do a class on this in Steve Bartetsko's group, The Magnetic Hero, on Facebook. If you're not there, you should join there. I'm going to do a deep dive on meeting human needs and empowering, disempowering, and neutral ways tomorrow, and how that ties into the grand scheme of building the attractive character. But today, I'm talking about how does this build into the grand scheme of your life, your business. So, you only do things, you only ever take action because you're trying to meet a need. And all these needs boil down to this one thing. It's a status increase. You think that attaining more health will increase your status. You think attaining more wealth will increase your status. You think attaining closer relationships with you, your spouse, your boyfriend or girlfriend, your customers, your business, closer relationships equals more status. So there's the funny thing about the one thing. It's like it always branches out into three things afterwards, but they're just little side missions. I've been studying Russell Brunson the perfect webinar structure, all these things, and just selling people, learning how to sell people. But the most valuable part of this is learning how to sell yourself to get you to do the things you need to do to win the game of life. And in my opinion, there's only one outcome to the game of life you should be striving for, and that is to win. A lot of people are like, oh, it's about getting this thing today. No, it's about winning. Well, how do you win? It's up to you. You get to decide what do you want. But just know that human beings are notoriously bad at knowing what you really want. So, seeing the perfect webinar structure is like there's always the one thing. If I can convince you of this one thing, you have to give me money. It's basically the objective, the outcome of the webinar. But there's 3 secrets, 3 hacks, 3 rules, 3 whatever that go along with it that support it. It's the faith in the system, faith in yourself to pull it off, and faith in there's not going to be any external obstacle that gets in your way. The same thing happens whenever you try to win the game of life. So I would leave you today with this one thing. Know your outcome. And be crystal clear that the outcome is to win the game of life. And as far as choices go, choices are an entirely different episode all on its own. But using that rule of 3, I always try to get 3 different possible pathways. Which one do I choose? The one that aligns most with my resources at the time is the answer to that question, almost always. And that just makes it an easier flow because, one choice is not a choice. This is our only option. Get rid of that way of thinking. That's not true. That's BS. You're feeding yourself. Number 2 is, we can do this or this. That's black and white thinking. It can be useful in the moment of making a decision, but when formulating possible paths, 3 is the magic number. Why do you think fairy tales are told in 3s? There's magic to the number 3. There's 3 sides to a triangle, which is the basic building block of the universe. So, rule of 3. Try to formulate 3 possible solutions to every problem. In fact, I'm going to close with this. I know I'm kind of rambling on today, but these things, like, they just tie in everywhere. It's a universal concept. I have this guy who comes and works out with me 3 times a week. His name is Milton. I love him to death. But it's always like this thing, like thinking about it from the standpoint of the human body. If something's going wrong, structurally speaking, with the human body, the source is always this one thing known as the hips. So first objective is always to get the hips in place. And after you get the hips in place, invariably there are these 3 smaller problems that pop up. And whenever I'm training him, I look at the structure of his body, and I'm like, this is the next biggest lever we need to pull. And this is how he fits it. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you clarity and focus on where you're going today. And remember, not only are you one upgrade away, but you are one outcome away from winning the game of life.